Hi, my name's Days and today I'll be reviewing Prodigy by Marie Lu. This is the second book. The first book is Legend. I do have a review on it. I shall link it down below if you're interested in watching it. And we shall talk. We shall talk about this in depth because if you've read the book, is an appropriate response. I will say now that the second book in a trilogy generally is not my favourite. I find they are filler books and often I enjoy the first book and the third book and kind of think, well, why couldn't I have just had two books instead? But Prodigy completely obliterated this rule. It was originally meant to be a two-book series, but obviously I don't know if that makes a difference on it. Either way, she's writing another book, so I'm lost for words. The fact that I've actually found a second book in the trilogy that I actually really like. I did enjoy Insurgent and Catching Fire, but not as much as I enjoyed Prodigy for a second book. The thing that made this book so special was the fact that the characters became more in-depth. It was also special because of the dual narrative. In this book they are certainly more split apart, so therefore we actually get the other person's side when we're not with them. In the first book it was kind of June and Day together and then they were giving their own sort of chapters of what they were doing. Whereas in this, they can be in completely different places, and it would have been a totally different book if it was just from one side, whether it was Day or June, because we'd have then had to learn eventually what happened with the other person, whereas this is kind of in real-time events. It is undeniable to say that the characters didn't evolve in Prodigy. I also like the fact that the new characters that are added into this because of meeting the Patriot Rebels, they also have a depth to them, and they have more than that meets the eye. For a spoiler-free synopsis of this book, if you haven't read it but you have read Legend, obviously at the end of Legend we leave Day and June running off to go meet the Patriots in Las Vegas. When they do eventually meet them, they fall into a you scratch my back and I'll scratch your back situation. Then plots are conceived to do with the political side of it all, but also then our characters have to deal with a lot of things that they probably didn't want to in the start. Because of the political onslaught and the fact that we are trying to bring down the Republic so therefore we can reinstate the United States of America, brings a lot more events to the table, so therefore our characters have to move on and they have to evolve to these situations, and how they react then shows that they are moving along and they're having a slow transition to become a new person. The book also shows that everything they thought might be perfect actually has a sting in the tail. Now is spoiler time, so if you haven't read the book, please close the video down and then you can come back once you've read it, otherwise you're going to spoiler doomness. No, don't like the ending, no! Why have I been left maybe a year to wait with Day dying for a year? How much heartbreak can you put into the end of the book with Day dying and then them splitting up, and he doesn't even explain to her that he's dying, so we still have the next book having to say that he's dying, and why does he have to die? It's not fair. I found it funny, the escort part of the book, mainly because that's what kind of I'd expect from Las Vegas, so I kind of stuck to it, even in a dystopian land. But the kissing was certainly steamy, wasn't it? Yeah, because they were in a bathroom, yeah. So the current Elector Primo has died, therefore Andon goes in his place. If I have said that wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments. When I said that I liked that the characters became more in depth, I was especially talking about Tess. Tess becomes more of her own character in this, rather than just Day's sidekick that's kind of wimpy, I suppose. She gets jealousy and she's more part of the Patriots than June and Day. I still can't quite believe the fact that Tess didn't go down the hole with Day and just stayed. I was kind of just like, whoa, someone's had a big character change there. I have no idea what will happen with her in the next book, but I'm pretty sure there will probably be more jealousy over Day because she clearly does not like Day and June together. Getting a more of a talk with Thomas in this, ugh, I still don't like him, he's still a slimy little cretin, oh no, ugh. I love the little ring that is given to June, although she is absolutely the most awfulest person at actually thanking someone. She just comes out with the most ridiculous things that she shouldn't really say because then it just completely divides classes. And we have a breakthrough moment of finding out that Matthias actually loved Thomas. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I was not actually expecting that. Let me just quote a few of the things that really bothered me about Andon. I received word that you requested to see me in person. I imagine you don't mind wearing the clothes I've provided. He pauses for a split second, just enough time for a coy smile to light up his features. I thought you might not want to spend the dinner in a prison uniform. So he's dressing her like a doll, which she does actually say. So, that's a bit creepy. I wasn't a fan of him, per se, although he was certainly impressive. Andon picks up his new champagne glass and sips. I was a fan of you. What is the things that come out of Andon's mouth within like 4 pages? He's already annoyed me and I'm kind of like, no, I don't like you very much at the moment. And it all comes back to Andon every single time in other situations, such as... The next quote is actually in reference to June and Andon, but it is said by Pasco. Why do they put so many weird names in dystopian novels? Tess is totally right. See that glow in his eyes? That's a man won over right there, I can tell you that. He's head for heels for our girl. She'll have him completely hooked in a couple of days. Oh, no, I don't like this Andon and June pairing. No. Baxter is also a slimy little cretin, which was confirmed when I read this quote. Behind me, I hear Baxter mutter something under his breath. It's enough to make me stop and face him again. My eyes narrow. Say that again? He grins, shoves his hands into his pockets, and lifts his chin. I said, jealous that your girl's whoring around with the Elector? Nah! Why are all the Patriots horrible? I did like the fact that they were split in this book, and the fact that June goes off and be an undercover agent. She's a double agent, essentially. Although she does so well at being a double agent that she is pardoned for all her crimes. But then as the plotline develops and we actually find out more about the Patriots and slightly a little bit more about the colonies, June is actually right in staying and being a Republic person. At first I was just like, traitor! And then you kind of realise and you think, actually no, June is actually being more reasonable than the other people and they are committing murder, and then we find out Razor is behind it all, never liked him. No, he was another like Thomas, like a slimy little cretin. That is my new favourite little word for these people in this book. At first I really didn't like the pairing of Andon and June, and now I'm kind of like, oh, I'm gonna have to set myself up to like it, because the next book he wants her to be his princeps, and then that just, oh, but Day's dying and he won't tell her, and it's so complicated. I'm not sure even what June was sick with, but either way I'm kind of thinking plague. After the plot of trying to kill Andon and it failing from them trying to sort of narrow in on him and then kill him, after they escape, I really liked the fact that they had a little kind of moment of anger to try and get out, because they needed to do that, but then following after that they kind of got that little fight scene and June is basically trying in her own way to kind of, well, you can try and kick at me and I'll try and teach you something along the way, but here, get your aggression out on me. That I enjoyed. That was a good little way of June finally kind of realising that she says stupid things, and that's kind of her way of saying sorry. She still can't say sorry though properly. The colonies was completely different to what I thought it would be. The fact that they'll leave a woman that has just been robbed and they won't even do anything about it just because she hasn't paid a bill for something, it kind of makes me angry. You know when I say that the characters in here are slimy little cretins, Razor especially, I knew that something to do with this plot was not right. The fact that they were trying to kill Andon. Then I was thinking, who's going to be the next Electo Primo? Turns out that Razor has been hired by the Republic, so therefore he can become it. So it's all, after they figure that out, is a mission of trying to make sure that he doesn't come into power. So Dave finally has to come around to the fact that June was right all along, that Andon needs to be saved, and he needs to be propelled forward so that the citizens actually believe in him and have faith. I did have a moment of sadness when Katie died. I didn't like her at the beginning. I thought she was quite rough and tumble. And then what she does for them in the sacrifice then she has to give, oh, it just, no, I wish she hadn't died, it was unfair, but every dystopian always has death along the way. You cannot avoid it, and Day will die next, probably, unless he gets a cure. Not happy about this. The height of sadness for Eden was amplified when we found Sam in the train, and then when we find out Eden's gone blind, and then his brother is going to die, so he's got a pretty bad way of it at the moment. I must admit I did like the paperclip ring more than I did the ruby pendant. Razor and Jameson finally get arrested, which is brilliant because I really didn't like their characters, and quite frankly they deserved it for all they did. So those were my thoughts on this. I don't know if it really amounted to a review because mainly I was just quoting it, being annoyed at certain things. But either way, I did really enjoy this book. As I said, it was my favourite of the 2 so far. I did like the plot lines that were weaved into this. I thought it was very clever, the fact that the Patriots were actually being hired by the Republics, because that was as much of a shock as Matthias loving Thomas. You know, there's all these things that happen in there that I was not actually expecting.